know something? I got to give a shout out to Ramenellis.
Yep.
You know what I'm talking about.
Place we went to the other day. Yeah.
I want to let everybody know, especially this one guy where I'll leave his name mentionless because of I respect everybody's privacy.
Absolutely.
But you know who you are because you walked up to me. So let me tell you the story. Me and Sonny were on the phone. We're figuring out a way to meet up. You know, am I going to the west side or is he coming to the east side? So you know what? Let's meet halfway. So halfway in between the east side and the west side is a place we've been going to for years.
Yeah, it's been there a long time.
It's called Ramenellis. Mm-hmm. And if you're from Arizona, it's one of the only places you could go to get a sandwich, a hero, similar to the neighborhood.
And traditional deli, Italian deli stuff, yeah.
They do a good job,
yep.
Right? And they're consistent. It's a family-ran business.
Yep, still is.
They've been doing business since when?
1975, he said. The old
75, the old man.
Yeah.
The old man's a great guy, Sam.
Super nice man.
Super nice guy. The sons, the daughters, they all work in the business.
Yep.
Really a nice family. They deserve the business. They deserve the...
Yeah. They're doing the right thing. They really are.
We usually go there now and then.
Yep.
And Sonny will always get the what? He'll get the prosciutto with...
get prosciutto mozzarella. With a little bit of, red peppers on there, roasted red peppers.
A little balsamic glaze.
Balsamic glaze, absolutely.
I'll go there, I'll get the George's special. One of his sons' name is George. It's written on the board. It's gabagool, salami, pepperoni, like an Italian stallion type sandwich, right? They give you a nice size sandwich. I mean, I couldn't finish it.
It was a lot of food.
And then we'll get the Manhattan specials.
Yeah, get Manhattan specials. Get a little pastry. We get a little pastry with it.
We get a little pastry
nice
after
pastries
that.
In the place. They really do.
This time we got some rainbow cookies, right?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah. So anyway, what you do is you go to the counter, you order your sandwich, and then you go online to go pay. And when you come back with the ticket, they give you your stuff. I'm in line. Some guy walks up to me out of nowhere and said, Mr. Gioia, said my name perfectly. Now you got to imagine, I'm taken back because I don't know, I've never had anybody since I've been out here come up to me and go, hey, Mr. Gioia.
Yeah.
So you can imagine how much shock I was in, right? Yeah. I just looked and I'm like, I'm just staring at the guy. I'm not saying yes, no, I'm not acknowledging nothing because I don't know what to expect. And he says, hey, I want you to know I watch your podcast. I watch every episode and I just wanted to shake your hand and meet you. So I put my hand out. I shook his hand. I says, still in shock. I'm like, I appreciate that. Now I'm still in line. I still can't believe what happened, right? Anyway, I'm paying. There's a guy who works there behind the counter. He's vaping. He's got like a little vape, right? He's got a hat on. It said FBI. Yeah, you remember? You see him?
It's true. True story.
He's looking at me, smirking. I'm looking back at him like,
Yeah, what's up?
He says, I watch your show too. I says, and? He goes, you look a lot meaner in person than you do.
It's true, Frank.
He said, you look a lot meaner in person than you do on the on the podcast. I said, no, I'm just hungry. That's why I look meaner. I said, I want to get my sandwich. So he starts laughing. We go sit back down.
Yep.
And then the same guy that came over to me, I pointed him out to you, and he was with his father.
Yeah.
Then he brought his father around because it's a big grocery store too. You could get all like
any Italian specialty that there is.
You get
everything's
any
imported from Italy. Yeah, everything's in there.
All the stuffed peppers, everything. Yeah. He's even got pestosa raviolis in there.
Pestosa raviolis.
He's got what else? Well, he's got everything in there.
Yeah, whatever you need.
So he brought the father around. I says, I pointed Sonny out to him and stuff, and then we met his father.
Yeah, it was good.
And after that, you could tell people were talking.
Mm-hmm.
And then Sam, the old man, the owner, he sat down with us. And
he sat there for a while with us.
Every time we go there, we always get treated. If you go to Ramenellis, you get treated very well there.
Yeah.
They got a hot heroes, cold heroes. You could do all your shopping there. Every holiday, I go there.
Yeah, Christmas,
everybody
all that
goes.
stuff, you have to go.
Christmas goes there. We go there. You get all the stuff that you normally would buy, to celebrate the holidays. But what a great place, great family. And I wanted to give a shout out to them. And mainly a shout out to the guy. You know who you are. I'm not going to mention your name because, again, I respect everybody's privacy.
Absolutely.
But I will say that you made a huge impact on me because I realize now that there are people out there that watch. And you don't realize it till somebody's in your face. So now I know that in the beginning, people that have experience with podcasts, they all said, Frank, don't read the comments. Don't answer the comments. Do not answer. Do not look at them, whether they're good or bad.
Right. They all warned us that there's some drama is going to come from that.
I got to say the truth. That one guy, that one incident
Changed everything for
changed my mind on the whole thing. Okay?
And rightly so.
I want to make an announcement today that Uncle Sonny is going to be in charge of responding to the comments, good or bad.
Good or bad.
And mainly the good ones too, because
we'll try to get to everyone's comment. It's sometimes could be physically impossible, but we'll do our best at it.
Because I realize now that there is a community out there and we need to pay attention to the community locally here in Arizona and all across the United States, wherever you are. And we need to build it. And I don't see how you could build a loyalty or community without responding to anybody, right?
I agree.
Now, if somebody says something stupid, you're not going to get a response. Because I would love to answer just as stupid back.
Right. And that,
but we're not going to do that.
We're not going to do that.
Because we're professional.
We said that from the start of this podcast that we weren't going to get into that and
so let's
play
say
the
this.
game with that.
Let's say if you come with something that makes sense and you're talking normal, with respect, you will get a response.
Absolutely.
And you know what? It doesn't have to be all good.
No.
It could be, we're open for constructive criticism. But, be mature about it and be respectful about it.
Yeah. Respect is the main word there.
Exactly. Main thing is respect.
Yeah. And we treat you guys with respect. We expect that back a little bit, It doesn't have to be 100%, but as best as you can do. And we'll honor that. And that's what we plan on doing going forward. And we respect you guys out there and the people, like you said, the audience that's out there for us and the people that are watching in our community. And that's what we're going to do. Respect you right back.
But I got to say the truth. That one guy, he really impressed me because he had the balls to come right in my face.
Most people wouldn't do that.
And the way he handled it was...
Again, professional, respectful.
Like a gentleman.
And then he brings over his dad to meet us both as well. You were in shock. I know. I saw your face. I was like, wow, this is really happening.
Because you know why? Not only I was in shock that somebody recognized me, it's the way he did it. That he did it very respectfully. I was impressed.
Casually, yeah. He handled himself well.
I was really impressed. Yeah. And then what he did was this. He DM'd me, direct message, right?
That's right.
He DM'd me and he gave me this very nice, should I read it?
Yeah, why not?
Right?
I think you should.
This is how much of an impact this guy made on me, right?
And for him to go out of his way to introduce himself and say thank you to you and then introduce his dad and then to send you this DM, and Frank's going to read it in a minute here. I think it's very cool, man. Again, thank you for that. But
yeah, listen to this.
Listen.
Mr. Gioia, it was a pleasure running into you and Sonny at the sandwich shop earlier. I was already having a good day getting to hang with my dad and get a sandwich. Meeting you guys made it even better. Apologies if I brought you any unwanted attention. It was an honor to meet you and Sonny. Thanks for being nice and so cool about it, man. Thanks for the show and the time you guys put into it. I hope everything goes good for you guys.
That's so nice, man.
Mind-blowing.
I didn't expect that, and I know Frank didn't expect that at all. And it's just super nice to see that.
So I responded back. The pleasure was all mine, all ours.
Yep.
And thank you for your support.
Yeah.
And I friended him on Facebook now. And I'm going to continue to, that guy messages me, always get a response from me. Friends on Facebook, and who knows, maybe we'll become friends develop a friendship. But that really...
That was a big impact for both of us, actually. So, again, and it's an honor to be here and to do what we're doing. It's fun, and we keep things, as you said, respectful, and we'll continue to do it. I'm good.
You good?
Yeah.
This thing was brewing for a little while, so it's got a lot of caffeine in it.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
I'm lit, as they say.
Lit up. You know what I can't stop drinking? McDonald's ice brewed coffee.
Really?
Sonny?
Is it strong?
Let me tell you something. The ice brewed coffee. Not the vanilla, caramel.
Okay.
It's $1.79 for the medium size.
I was going to say, what does that cost? $1.79.
$2 out the door.
That's incredible, because you can't do that in most larger coffee shops, I'll say. I won't use their name, but you can't do that anywhere.
Where $4, yeah.
Yeah, $4, yeah.
More like $8.
Yeah.
What happened was I was in the drive-thru. I said, man, I feel like coffee. So I asked them for espresso. They couldn't make it for me. And then the guy says, I said, what do you think? What's the most popular? Oh, the ice brewed coffee.
Really?
So I ordered what's the most popular flavor? Caramel.
Okay.
Man.
Good
stuff. It's like 200 calories.
That's not bad compared to the other brand again.
$2 out the door, I think like $1.99 or something.
There's nothing wrong with that. God, that's cheap.
Man, what a treat.
I'm going to try it when we leave here today.
Every time I see a McDonald's now, or like I'm thirsty or I want to do something, I go, well,
hit the drive-thru. Yeah.
Then I tried the vanilla one. It wasn't as good as the caramel.
Yeah, we probably just helped a little bit.
Oh, get a caramel. Get a caramel. Next time you go through
that out.
On the show next time, we will have them, right?
Yeah, we will.
Go through, get a caramel ice brewed coffee from McDonald's, the medium size, $1.79, $1.99. You're out the door. You can't go wrong. So, anyways,
that's our bid on coffee there.
Back to the neighborhood.
Let's go back to the neighborhood, Frank.
I think all my life, the people that made the biggest impact on me was a guy named Tony Zuzio.
Now, what family is Zuzio from?
He had his own family, Zuzio.
Okay.
He wasn't with anybody.
Okay.
This guy didn't need to be with anybody. Spell his last name Zuzio.
Okay.
Zuzio. Tony Zuzio. Right? Cigars. You know I love cigars.
Yes.
Right? Every time I smell cigar smoke,
you think of this guy?
I'll think of Tony Zuzio growing up.
That's interesting.
Because he used to smoke big cigars. Used to smell the smoke and stuff. Let me tell you about Tony Zuzio. Another family from the neighborhood, solid as they could be. Tony was married to his wife, Connie, right? This guy became like an uncle to me. His wife became like I used to call her Aunt Connie. 2 kids, his daughter, Carol, his son, Tony, okay? He goes into martial arts, Tony Zuzio. Gets really good at it. I mean, good to the point where there was an incident once in the neighborhood. 6 cops couldn't even...
Really?
Yeah.
That's good.
Flipping them over the car. Like, this guy was the real deal. Tough. I mean, the martial arts he studied Japanese Goju-Ryu, which is a style that's Japanese karate. Then he went on to master the sword.
Really?
Yeah. This guy was very deep into techniques that were lethal. His hands had to be registered.
Is that right?
The precinct, the 5th precinct was our precinct.
Okay.
Everybody knew Tony Zuzio. The cops will come and pay homage to him. Wise guys. I mean, this guy was well respected in a sense that, all right, he's not going to stop a bullet. We know that.
Right.
But as far as respect with the reputation that he had in the martial arts, being a tough guy. I mean, the guy, I can't say enough good about him. If you learned under him, not many people could train with him because you want to be able to...
I would imagine you can't keep up with him.
Yeah, you can't keep up with the guy. Anyways, I was in grammar school, St. Patrick's. Tony at that time lived on Prince Street between Mott and Elizabeth. And then when 21 Spring Street was built,
the big building,
about everybody,
the
whole neighborhood moved into it. Tony Zuzio moved there with his family. Tony Zuzio, as a kid, I would, after school, walked the neighborhood with him. I was very interested in the martial arts. I used to go to Chinatown. I used to buy magazines, instructional magazines, how to learn how to do nunchucks.
Okay.
Learn how to throw Chinese stars. Learn how to use a knife.
Now,
all this
was
stuff.
karate or
It
was it jiu-jitsu?
Martial arts. Yeah.
Just in general?
I had an appetite. I had a thirst to learn. So I would go. I had nowhere to go, really. There was no schools around or nothing like that. Everything was boxing. I would go to Chinatown, go get instruction booklets, and I'd buy things in the store. I'd buy like a pair of nunchucks, go home and try to use them. Go buy these Chinese stars. Remember those stars you would throw? Yeah.
Had a few of them.
The 007 switchblades. Remember those?
Vaguely.
It wasn't an actual switchblade. It was a knife.
It popped out, wasn't it?
Not straight. You had to flick it.
That's what it was. Okay.
But they were nice. They were had big handles. They were called 007s, right?
Yep.
I'll talk about that. I stabbed my first guy with one of those. Yeah. It's not a good feeling when you stab somebody.
No, I bet.
It's not.
I can't imagine it being a good feeling.
What's the first thing you feel when you stab somebody?
Remorse, I would hope.
I mean,
you're going to feel like...
Listen, we all got remorse. What I'm saying is, have you ever stabbed somebody?
No.
Okay. It's not a good feeling. I mean, the way
Why?
Well, it's worse for them.
Yeah, obviously.
Here's what's happened. The first thing you feel when you stab somebody, right, is the blood coming on your hand. And if you don't have a good handle, it's slipping out of your hand like that.
Yeah, because it's coming. The blood's pouring.
And if your handle is not the most important thing on a knife, this is not an instructional video how to stab somebody.
Let's not go out and
weight.
practice tonight, kids.
Let's make this clear. But in the past, I've been in situations where I have stabbed people. I'm not proud of that. If your handle is not good enough, okay, the blood will, obviously the guy's bleeding. The blood will get on your hand, and as you're trying to go stab, it's very slippery. So usually a lot of times the knife will knife will fall out of your hand if you don't know what you're doing. Anyway, enough of that. So Tony Zuzio, I started talking to Tony Zuzio.
Mm-hmm.
And he started teaching me, right? And I would go up his apartment after school, and I would start with stretching exercises and this and that, And we didn't have much space, but whatever it did, he would start teaching me, techniques. So I remember, never forget, his hands were so conditioned. So in Chinatown, when you went there, there's a thing called a makiwara, they call it. It was a bag made out of cloth, like a tough material. And you start out with different fillings. Like you start out with wood, then you go to stone, and then after that you go to steel, where you put a bunch of pebbles in there.
And that's to condition the hands, right?
Right. So let's say this was the makiwara, right?
Yeah.
Just a square bag that you could zip open and you could stick.
Change the interior of it. Yeah.
Right. So he would slap it all day. He'd just like this here. 1, 2.
Okay.
So what condition? Your front of your hand.
And the
back of your hand. He would do the karate chop.
Mm-hmm.
He would do the fingers.
Mm-hmm. To strengthen his fingers, yeah.
1 finger at a time, 2 fingers, 3 fingers, the whole thing. Then he would do his palm. And I'm talking like this guy would spend hours on this thing. Wow. His hands were so conditioned. He could break your jaw with a slap. That's how conditioned his hand was.
Concrete hand is what that is.
And then he would buy this herb that he got from Chinatown. Guy would go there, knew him. These herbs that were all mixed up together. And that was like his, how could I say, like his, like a lotion that he would put on. It wasn't a lotion form. It was liquid, right? But he would get it. It stunk like, it didn't smell good. He would put drops on his hands, and he would just condition his hand, rub it in. And I don't know what that did to his hands. I don't know if it helped, the herbs helped
harden it, or
harden his hands, or heal his hands.
Yeah,
some kind of effect. So he introduced me to all of this, right? So he had me, bought a makiwara. He started me off with the lowest fill you could put in there. I think it was like wood. So wood would mean like a bunch of wood chips in there, so it wasn't that hard, right? And then as I built up, next level was this, and then eventually the biggest level you could go to is like BBs that you put in a BB gun. Mm-hmm. He would fill the whole thing up with that, and that's steel, okay? So he would tell me, you hit it 10 times a day, this is what you do. And then he would do his wrists.
Wow.
His wrists. Everything from his wrist to his hands, the whole thing, right? He would go up against a wall. He had another thing where he would train his elbows. So the guy was conditioned, like,
Yeah.
I mean, now that I think back, yeah, he could knock you out with his hand.
Martial arts is it's a lifestyle once you're addicted to it. Like
This guy lived it, breathe, talk, eat, sleep, shit,
everything. Yep.
martial arts. And breathing. He taught me how to breathe, okay? So anyway, I'm maybe, I don't know, 15, 16 years old. This guy had me so far advanced.
For that age.
I didn't even realize it.
Yeah.
I'm getting into fights. I'm not bragging. I'm knocking, like, guys out, right, with my open palm. I mean, knocking them out, like, doing everything that Tony Zuzio taught me.
Wow.
Kicking, palm, this, that. I mean, this guy was like, it was almost like the, what's that Karate Kid, Miyagi? And
Mr. Miyagi.
Yeah, Mr. Miyagi. Right?
Mr. Miyagi. Wax on, wax off.
But you talk about if Tony Zuzio liked you, okay, another family that would open their doors to you, they feed you, they take you in. They took me in. I mean, every time, every night, you know, Aunt Connie would go, sit down, eat something, this, that, you know. Just a good family. Everybody was afraid of him too.
I would be.
I mean, because the guy was not, he was normal.
Yeah.
You know, but if this guy has a bad day, he goes off his rocker, you ain't stopping this guy.
Yeah.
You better get a freaking bazooka. You know?
That's right.
Because this guy he could take 5, 6 people, no problem.
Wow.
You know? So everybody wanted to be on his good side, right? But he loved me. I gotta say the truth. He did. He loved me. And I loved him, you know? Loved the whole family. He was very close with this guy called Rico Guy,
Right.
who was a black guy, another acclaimed martial artist, accomplished a ton of stuff. And they went to samurai school together to learn the sword and master the sword and Budo, Bushido, I think they call it. Tony Zuzio knew all the pressure points. He knew everything, right? So there was this guy, Cliff Williams. They called him Doc. They nicknamed him, right? Cliff Williams, I would say, was 6'6", 280, 285, solid.
Big boy.
Big black. I mean, this guy was a big guy, right? And he was an orphan, and he was adopted, or he lived with Ronnie Van Cleef. Ronnie Van Cleef, if you look at him today, he was the Chinese dragon. He was the black dragon, you know, for years, you know. Well, Cliff was getting so good that Ronnie Van Cleef showed him a technique. Said, get on the floor, I want to show you something. And cracked his shoulder blade on purpose.
Oh, wow.
Just to injure him because he was getting
him out. He's getting too fast, too good.
Because a lot of instructors, that's how they were back then. There's some instructors today, the same thing. Like if you're starting to get good and you catch them in a move or whatever.
They'll hurt you on purpose.
They'll try to hurt you, or knowing that they can't get away with that, they'll kick you out of their school. Or they'll say you got to leave something. They get butthurt because you're getting good. You know?
They don't want you to advance above them. Makes sense.
Terrible instructors, right? So Ronnie Van Cleef hurts Cliff. Cliff through Rico meets Tony. Tony goes into Ronnie Van Cleef's school. Now, mind you, back then it was a lot more segregated. So if you were Italian, you stood in your neighborhood. If you were black, you stood in your neighborhood. You were Puerto Rican, you stood in your neighborhood, Irish, and so on, right? You didn't go in each other's neighborhoods. Tony Zuzio goes there, loaded up with a pistol. Goes there, puts a gun right to Van Cleef's head. You know? I mean, this is the balls this guy had. This guy would go, he'd load up, go anywhere, you know?
Ready to go.
Put a gun to his head and basically said, you leave this kid alone, this kid's with me. Walked Cliff out of there and took him in.
Wow. So
Cliff never forgot what he did for him. And Cliff was scared of Tony Zuzio. Like, you know, Tonio couldn't beat him. I mean, Cliff was a beast. Yeah. I mean, he was way ahead of his time too. Like he learned all different martial arts. He was just, his training was, I'll get into that, right? Was a whole nother level. He was always scared of Tony Zuzio because of how crazy he was.
Makes sense.
Because Tony had the balls. He didn't care, you know. From Tony Zuzio, I get introduced to Cliff. And Tony kind of let me go. Like, in other words, he said, look, if you want to you're at a level now where I've shown you everything I know.
He's taking you as far as he can. He's selling you.
Right. He said, now I'm going to put you with Cliff if you want to go further. So I hook up with Cliff. I never forget the first time I went to go meet him, right? I get him on the phone. He goes, yeah, meet me on the corner of 6th Avenue and 8th Street. That's on the west side. There's a park there. So I just thought we were going to meet there. I didn't think we were going to train there. And he told me, bring your gi. So you know what a gi is?
Yeah.
Gi is your karate outfit, right?
It's your outfit.
I walk into the park. He's there with another guy, and they got their gis on in the street. He's got a makiwara, a man-made makiwara. He made it out of a phone book, and he would wrap it in masking tape, wrap it, and put books and everything else. And he made this big like punching pad, and he would nail it to the tree. And this guy's whacking the tree with everything, punching it, elbows, kicks, and screaming in the middle of the street. So I walk up to him and I say, Cliff? He goes, yeah, call me Doc. He said, where's your gi? I said, in my bag. He said, gi up. Gi up.
In the middle of the street?
Yeah. So I'm embarrassed because I'm not walking in the street with my karate outfit. They think it's not friggin' Halloween, you know? Yeah. But he trained in Japan. He trained in Okinawa. He trained everywhere. And that's how he lived. If he dressed up, he had his gi pants on. He was always training. So I go in the basketball court where it was dark. I put my gi pants on. I put my gi on. And I walk out. He goes, go ahead, punch that 100 times. 100 times.
The phone book.
That's
nailed to the tree.
I did it. My hands are all, I'm all bloodied up. I'm still hitting it. I'm not giving up. My hands are full of blood. And then he starts showing me some katas, which is, technique and stuff like that. Then after that, we go eat. My hands are all, and he says, oh, don't worry about that. He said, they'll callus up. They'll heal up and then come back, do it another day. Again. I said, well, how am I going to hit my hands next time? He said, well, next time you just do your elbows. Then from your elbows, we go, I got a little bat. So he gives me a little Yankee bat. He says, take this home, start hitting your shins with it. Hitting my shins with it.
What?
Yeah, because what he would do is, as he's watching TV, he would get a little Yankee bat, and he would beat on his shins because he did Muay Thai too. So Muay Thai in Thailand, when they box and kick, they'll kick with their shins and their knees and all that stuff. This guy's, obviously I seen him barefooted, right? His toes were like all screwed up. His big toe went this way. Everything was calloused, like Japanese in martial arts. Everything was calloused. This guy didn't feel nothing. His shins were all like, it looked like a bumpy road. This guy was calloused. He could kick, break bats, cinder blocks. It was
that's
a whole nother level.
Intense form of, wow.
I start training with Doc, right? We're training in the park. I said, what happens when it gets cold out? Okay. He didn't care. He had his military bag, and, eventually I got him a community room in the building I lived in. And I had a community center there that they gave it to me on nights they weren't using it. And I had them come there. We would train, and I would try to get the kids from the neighborhood that were on drugs, go round the kids up. One of my cousins being one of them, get them all in the car, bring them over there, and start, have Cliff teach them, martial arts. At least get them off the street, right?
Yeah, no kidding.
They didn't appreciate it, though. Eventually they went back to, blowing coke and stuff like that. Anyway, the point I'm trying to make is Cliff takes me to a tournament. Takes me to a karate tournament. Tony Zuzio and Cliff. They take me. They go, okay, you're going to compete. They put me in the black belt division. I'm not a black belt. I forgot what belt that was, but I was nowhere near a black belt. I said, so why you put me in a, because they knew when Cliff walked in there and Tony Zuzio walked in there that they didn't believe what my belt was. Okay. So if I walked in there with a blue belt,
they're not going to believe that.
You're training with these guys. We know you're higher than that.
Yeah.
We're going to put you with the blacks and the browns, okay? Which is the highest level.
Yeah.
So he did. They put me in that thing, and I didn't care, So I'm there, and I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to go by the point system, and I'm going to do this thing right. Cliff calls me on the side, goes, as soon as they tell you go, you beat the shit out of them.
And don't stop, right?
And don't stop. I go, but I'm going to get disqualified. Zuzio tells me, F the trophy. You do what we've been showing you to do.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
I said, okay, this is a street fight.
Yeah.
This kid has no idea, right? So they line us up. Go. I remember this guy throws a kick, like a side kick. I grab his leg, and I just go to work on him. Punching him and kicking him like we're in the street.
Yeah.
They all jump on me, the referees, because all the referees are black belts now, right? Yeah. They jump on me and they get me to the ground. All I can see is Cliff's head, picking them up off of me and cracking them in the midair.
The judges?
The judges. Picking them up, going, get your hands off my student, picking them up and hitting them in midair. They're flying. Tony Zuzio smacking people. I said, what the hell? It's like a brawl, right? Anyway, everything breaks up. They said, if you guys don't leave, we're calling the cops. So I feel like, I did the wrong thing.
Yeah, you caused it, is what you're thinking, right?
Going back home, they're telling me, what a good job. I'm on the train.
They see things differently, don't they?
They're so proud.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I ain't going to get no trophies to hang up on the wall.
No kidding.
At least I know this stuff works.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, it did. I got a good reputation from it. Well, good reputation meaning in the street. I used a lot of the martial arts to fight. Had I not learned from Zuzio and Cliff, Doc, I don't think, I knew how to box. I did box for a little while. But, man, he was ahead of his time because Cliff knew judo. He knew jiu-jitsu. He knew Muay Thai. He knew Aikido. He knew all the weapons, the nunchucks, the sais, the bow staff, the sword.
He did it all.
A to Z, yeah.
Wow. Intense stuff, man.
Not to get into it now, but later on, he did get arrested with me, too.
Oh, is that right?
On my drug case.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they arrested him. Doc. So, but my point is, I'm trying to bring this up about families from the neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
The Zuzios were a known family, good family. The father was well-respected, feared, just good people.
Yeah.
And you talk about an impact on my life till today. Till today, I'll smell that cigar smoke, somebody like a secondhand smoke. Man, Tony Zuzio, like when I was a kid.
Yeah, isn't that funny how a smell or a song or a taste can bring
right?
back all those memories from childhood and God knows from where else. It's amazing.
He would smoke those big Churchills. And man, this guy didn't give a F about anything.
They had a distinct smell, those cigars. They really did.
He didn't care about anything. We would go to Chinatown. He'd always get the same thing. He would get a thing of fried rice, shrimp fried rice, and dumplings. Eat the whole thing. I mean, this guy really lived. He lived,
Nice. Very nice.
He must have passed away by now, but may he rest in peace. I tell you, when I think about it, there's another family. There's a kid that I grew up with. Another one, part of, talk about those original friends that you had. Dako.
Okay.
So the kid, John Dako, was the youngest son. John Dako had an older brother, Joey Dako.
I think we talked about him a little bit.
And he had 3 sisters. So you got Dawn, the youngest one. Tara, it's around my sister's age. And then the oldest one is Ava. They originally lived on Spring Street between Mott and Mulberry. My family goes back a long ways with the Diakos. And my father was very good friends with his father. His father went to jail. Father was a hoodlum all his life. When he was in jail, he became close with Vic Amuso. And that's how that relationship continued when he got out of jail.
Okay.
He was with the Paul Vario crew. Paul Vario you see depicted in Goodfellas.
Yes. He
wound up getting made with the Lucchese's. And when Vic became boss of the Lucchese family, him and Guest became friends with Al Dako.
Okay.
So Al moved up the ranks pretty quick. He went to captain, then he went to a panel, and then he went to acting boss.
Really, that fast? Pretty much?
Well, I mean, he's been in the street his whole life, but I would say over the years it went pretty fast. I mean, just as fast as Vic and Guest came up, you know, these guys were around for a long time, but it's a period of time where they really accelerated. You know what I mean? Because they had to. Because there was positions opening and there was things happening, so they're next in line. I know there's going to be a lot of controversy on this because the Dako family, Al Dako, Joey Dako, wound up cooperating with the feds. The father wrote a book. Our friend Jerry Capisi, I told you about.
Yes.
I want to make a correction, though.
Okay. In regards to Jerry?
Jerry Capisi. He didn't work for the New York Post. It was the Daily News.
It was the Daily News.
So I thought back. You know, like when you think back and you look and you go,
pick the wrong paper.
I should have said this. I shouldn't have said that.
Of course.
That was one of those things where, now I remember, when he had an article called Gangland.
That I remember.
That came out every Thursday.
See, and I thought it was the Post too, so that tells you how bad our both memories are.
Guys would deny guys would deny they even read it, whatever, but on the side, they all made sure they read it. And this guy's information was spot on. I mean, till today, there's nobody out there in that genre, you want to call it a genre, or you want to call it whatever you want to call it. There's a lot of self-proclaimed mob reporters, or I'm a mob journalist. No, you're not.
That word journalist doesn't fit everyone.
Jerry Capisi?
He's a journalist.
Yeah, he's a real deal journalist, mob reporter. And that guy, when he puts something in there, he does his homework. You know, very, very rarely you're going to read something from him and like...
question it?
Yeah. So there's nobody that came close to him.
That's interesting.
You know, I don't know too much about George Anastasia or guys in other states. They got the same kind of reputation. But Capisi, like I say, is the OG of reporting, a real reporter. It wasn't the New York Post. It was the Daily News.
Daily News.
So let's get it out of the way.
Corrected that.
Anyways, he went on to do a book with Jerry Capisi. Jerry Capisi, I guess, decided to write a book with him.
That was the old man did the book with Capisi?
Yeah, Al Dako. Okay. I read the book.
Okay. You want to talk about it?
Listen.
Another time, if you choose to.
Well, here's the thing. Everybody, look, here's the way I look at it. Capisi, to me, as far as a writer, an author, yeah, you can't get any better. You make somebody more known as being he's not known as an author, but he's a great author. I read one of my favorite books is Murder Machine. That's one of my favorite books because the way it's written and how he did, which shocks me today, it didn't become a major motion picture. Capisi, if you want to write a mob book and you got Capisi behind it, it's going to be a real mob book.
It's going to be a good book.
Yeah, it's going to be a good book.
Yeah.
So that I think he nailed it with. Okay. Now, as far as Al is known as to be one of the most credible witnesses that the government ever had. I'm not saying anything bad about the guy. But, you know, you and I could watch the same movie. And then they're going to say, Sonny, how's the movie? And you're going to tell them what stood out at you.
Right.
And they're going to say, Frank, you watched the movie. What stood out at you? We're still going to have two different perspectives.
Absolutely.
The movie's the movie. It happened. Okay? You're going to have your version of it. I'm going to have mine. That's where it becomes, you know, an opinion, or becomes, what does that become?
It's what you see. It's your view of what took place. It becomes your view. That your view is not necessarily going to line up with mine.
And there's things that Al talks about that I was not involved in, and I wasn't there. So really, I believe him.
Okay.
I believe him. Then I know other guys that I talked to that were there.
Okay. And
you believe them too. But, you know, it's kind of, I don't know, it's hard to explain.
It's what you see in your version of it.
My man, always a pleasure.
Absolutely.
I see you when I see you.
Always enjoy our time together, brother. Always.
I'm going to take my crew with me. I got my crew behind me.
2 boys you got to take care of.
I'll take them with me. I'll take them home.
You got to look good in the car with you, bro.
Think so?
Serious? Yeah, absolutely. I think the ride gets interesting on the way home with those guys.
I think they make a good couple.
They do. I'm concerned about Teddy. That's all. I hope he's not psychologically damaged after this.
I think everybody will keep driving by me because they'll think I'm demented.
I think that's a good thing. You strap them in the front seat and just like that, it'll be an amusing ride home, I'm sure. Leave the window down so the hair blows a little. Chucky. Salud.
Salud.
Chin down.